makes
What
sense.
what is the size of Radford, and how many properties do you know off the top of your head how many properties you deal with in the city of Radford for viewers that's not from Southwest Virginia?
So the last assessment that we had, we assessed right at 5,400 properties. Now those are not all taxable, because we have a university, and then just the other, exempt properties that we have. But that's what the last assessment firm did was 5,400, and our population sits around 17,000.
Okay. And I'll be honest with you, most rural counties and all of Southwest Virginia do not have in-house reassessment. That's the normal for Southwest Virginia. In fact, there's very few that do in-house
Think we're
for
one of
for the
the
exact
only
reason.
ones.
Yeah, yeah, and stuff.
I think the only one that's moving over is Montgomery County.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be you guys and it'll be Montgomery. Yeah, it's a big task, and it's a big task regardless, but it would be for this office, it would be incredibly hard. I mean, it would add on a whole other layer to the office on top of, I already do all the components of the real estate that we need done outside of the years that we are in an assessment cycle. So it's, you know, that I mean, it would be a lot. It would probably be, I would imagine, very overwhelming,
I'm
especially in the
sure.
beginning.
It's funny that they make you declare to run for a quote unquote constitutional office like a commissioner. Because really, all you're doing is carrying out the rules that the state makes in Richmond and that the county commission or the city commission makes. And every state is different. I mean, you take like California, who passed Prop 13 in 1978, I think it was. They haven't, uh, you don't get your property reassessed in California unless you decide to sell your home. So, it varies from state to state. And basically, you're just carrying out the duties that are required by your job. There's really, like you said, any partisanship in the commissioner's role. I think it's important that people realize that.
Yeah, and it's that way for all the constitutional offices. We're all supposed to be nonpartisan. We're all supposed to treat every citizen, the same, regardless of whether or not you personally know that they lean to the right or they lean to the left. It's supposed to be that way. I think we see a couple of the constitutional offices, I think, are where you can see the politics maybe lie a little bit more. But like for this office, for the treasurer and for the clerk, I don't see where, personal politics would really play into it. I think maybe from a democratic perspective, when it comes to tax relief, we might be a little bit more sensitive to those vulnerable, like, to the vets and to the elderly and the disabled. I think that could be maybe one of the only areas. But
Mhm.
even then, I mean, the commissioners that I know that lean to the right, they're still doing the same programs. We're still making sure that that information is put out to, that it's put out to the public, that they know that it's there, that the relief is given. You cannot, I don't think I've yet to hear of any commissioner that's withheld an application for relief because of, somebody's
Political affiliation.
politics. Like that's not going to happen. So it is very interesting. It'll be interesting to see if that ever changes and it's just becomes those that want to run for the office simply run.